Hi everybody. Okay, we had fun going to the emergency room in the hospital over the last couple days, and long story short, Jax just wasn't getting enough nutrition between, you know, the 3 containers of formula. Just not enough. So I'm going back, keeping that, and I'm going back to the blended diet. So I gave him some of this morning, about 120 cc's, just 2 big 60 cc syringes, and he'll get the rest of this now before he gets the 430 meds. I'll mix. I already gave him half of the formula. I'll mix the other half with this. This is spinach, sweet potatoes. You know, I use like just a small spoon, just a regular cereal spoon. Okay, not a big soup spoon, a cereal spoon. We're starting small here. It's got sweet potato, which is very high in potassium, very good for adrenal insufficiency. It's got sweet potato is almost a perfect food. You could pretty much live on that, you know, if you had to. It's also got, I made this up this morning. I stewed it down. It's sweet potato, some can of pinto beans. There's only about half a can in there. It's just, you know, what I had in the closet. There's some summer squash, which is real high in vitamin C. So that is great, you know, immune fighter. It's a very good immune booster. It's got some other stuff, a little bit of magnesium, it's got a decent amount of fiber, but, you know, anytime you got your root vegetables, those are very good for you. So this also has, this morning I also added some baby carrots because they cook fast, and your body really has a hard time absorbing the carrots unless they're steamed, because raw, you get your fiber, but it's very difficult for your body to break it down. So steam those, just like legumes, which are beans. Okay. So this has sweet potato, yellow squash, has some fresh spinach. You can throw that in. You can cook your spinach in a soup. You can use it fresh. I don't freeze it. There's certain things you can freeze that do well, freezing and thawing. I try to use the fresh, most of our, you know, fruit and vegetables, at least the vegetables, unless they're the kind you have to cook. Like, they're not edible if you don't cook them, like sweet potatoes. Everything else I try to do fresh. So this is sweet potato, yellow squash, carrots, spinach. It's also a half a cucumber. Cucumber is a great antioxidant. If you have a hangover, hey, munch on a cucumber, you're going to be fine. But it's also just high in so many nutrients, and I don't freeze those or anything. They're just, I'll put a half of one in per a feeding, and they mush down. When you blend them, they become almost like water. They're just so full of water. So you're getting your extra water too. Lots of nutrients. I do use bananas, but I'm going to wait till they start getting spotty, because the more ripe they are, the higher in potassium they are, and somebody with adrenal insufficiency needs potassium. Okay? We don't want too much, we don't want too little. So that's why we're giving all these blended foods in small amounts. So basically what he's going to get is 8 ounces a day, if he can tolerate that. Okay, so far so good, because it's stretched out. It's not all at once. You don't want to give that all at once if they're not used to it, because it's going to sit there, and then you're not going to be able to do your regular volume of formula. So just, you know, it's a cup. Okay, this is a measuring cup. This is 1 cup. Okay, I don't know how many cc's it is, but it works out to about 260 cc syringes, around, give or take a little. So this is perfectly fine to add to a feeding. And what I do is I do half the feeding, and then at the end of the hour do the other half. And in between, I'll give about 30 cc's of water. He just cannot tolerate the pump in any form. I've tried it. I'm going to try it again tonight for maybe some water. But if you're giving this, it's going to keep his stomach full. If you're giving formula, imagine living on milk. Just milk from the refrigerator. You're not going to stay full. You're not going to, your blood sugar is going to dip, and that's why he's waking up in the middle of the night, because he's hungry. So, and your blood sugar dips, you're going to have these nighttime, like, can give you nightmares, all kind of thing. You're going to wake up with your heart racing because your body's trying to say, hey, I'm not getting what I need. Okay, so I just put a little bit more of the sweet potato and summer squash. It also has a little bit of beans, cinnamon. If you have honey, you can add that. Honey's a natural antibiotic. My best friend from Puerto Rico years ago, she gave her kids a spoon of honey every day and some lemon juice. She used real lemons, but this is what I have, and this is just as good. I'm not using any of this yet because I'm trying to keep everything real bland for a while. So I'll mix that up, and he'll get that with the other half of the formula for, you know, like the 4 o'clock. Okay, because he's already had half of the formula. So this will go with the other half of the formula. And just go slow. You know, just do it slow. You got nothing. Well, I feel for you working parents. Thank God I'm retired. All my kids are grown. I don't have to work anymore. This is what I do. But if you're a working parent, or you've got a whole bunch of littles, you know, or biggers. I mean, Jack is my youngest, but I had 8 to 12 at any given time. And not often many drivers or babysitters. Just my older ones babysat. That was some really crazy years. I don't know how I would do this during those times again. But, you know, obviously Alice is a tremendous help. She drove the big van all the way downtown Orlando yesterday and picked us up and drove us home. She's the only one I trust to drive with Jack in the van, and I tended to him, and then I kind of snoozed on the back seat. So, all right, so very easy, and you're starting to start small, okay? You need a base. What I did was I cooked up oatmeal, and this is a 1/4 cup, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in baggies or containers, go ahead and put it cooked. All I did was add a little cinnamon. He doesn't need salt or sugar because his sodium, when your potassium drops, your sodium rises. And these are all electrolytes. Your heart needs this to work, okay? It also needs it to poop. It needs it to pee. It needs it to not have seizures. There's, you know, you've got to keep all this. So he hadn't had labs done except anytime he's in the hospital. And this is the first time that he's had this kind of deficiency. So I'm thinking that he was getting too many nebulizer treatments and he wasn't getting enough nutrition. 3 containers for somebody that's 130 pounds, 21 years old, that's not enough nutrition. So, by the way, I do make this. Thank God they saved my life. I got a freezer full of them. It's oatmeal. I just mix this. It's oatmeal, peanut butter. I think I have some chocolate chips in here, some almonds, nuts, you know, out of my big nut can. And I mix it all up, and you can use honey, molasses, pancakes, or whatever you have to make it stick together. And you don't need a lot, maybe, you know, a big spoon of it. So depending on how much you're making, mix it all up in the bowl and throw it in the oven, bake it, let it cool, throw it in Ziploc bags. I got a freezer full of these. And when we have to go out to an appointment or just go anywhere, it keeps me from buying fast food, which is terrible for my diabetes. But also if we're going to the hospital, I'll grab a couple of these and just throw them in the bag, because a lot of times you get there and you are not about to leave your kid to go look for coffee. I have coffee, I have little creamers, I have powder stuff. I mean, my go bag is good to go. And I have all this stuff in my van also with an immersion heater that I can stick in my metal coffee cup and make coffee in the van. But I can run hot water in the hospital room, in the emergency room, in the sink, and I can make my coffee. I have to stay awake. And I've got everything in Ziploc bags in my go bag. And I have these. But I also pack, you know, a bunch of cereal bars. But these don't last very long energy-wise. This does. So, I do go prepared. And I'll also take cocoa mix. And that way I'll have coffee with hot chocolate in it, mocha coffee, so that works. Okay, so you have your base, okay, and I'm going to freeze a 1/4 cup into baggies. So when I get ready to use them, I will take out that 1/4 cup and I will add basically a teaspoon of anything else I'm adding. I'm letting the bananas and the kiwi, that's kiwi, that's avocados, apples. I'm letting all that kind of ripen a little bit better. We just got it last night. It needs a couple days. So, but this oatmeal with a half a banana or a half a cucumber, some cinnamon, throw in a little bit of spinach, blend it up. That's great. This is your, you know, another base that I use. I don't know, whatever you want to use is fine. You know, this is the squash, sweet potatoes. It's got cinnamon. It's got about half a can of pinto beans, because that's what I have. You can use any beans. I like lentils when I have any. So, what I also you also can use yogurt and just make a fruit smoothie. You know, here, okay, if you were serving this for breakfast, you would serve your loved one oatmeal with, you don't need pancake syrup or anything because it's going in the tube. Okay, you don't need sweetener. I would do this with some cinnamon, not raisins, because raisins I have a hard time getting them through. But, you know, I'm going to add some fruit. If I have blueberries, I'm going to add a little bit of blueberries. Blueberries are also very difficult to blend up and get through the tube. It can be done, but it takes a while. But I would use oatmeal, bananas, cinnamon. And there's your breakfast smoothie. And you're going to have about a half a cup. Okay? And then for savory, you can go ahead and boil up your root vegetables or make a stew overnight in the crock pot. And then when you get ready to blend everything, throw in a little bit of, you know, fresh spinach. He also gets this twice a day, but I go ahead and put the day's dose in here because I figure it's mixed enough. So it's basically Tums. Okay, it's liquid Tums. Calcium carbonate is Tums. It's just we get it in this form because it goes through the tube. And I'll give him this in just very shortly. And for dinner later, I might give him make it again. I might make it more, you know, veggie blend, what I call it. I really like using the cucumber, spinach, and then some kind of vegetable. You don't have to have the oatmeal and the brown rice. I have brown rice. I need to get another bag, but so left. And I mean, you're talking a teaspoon, okay? Because we're starting small. Peanut butter. You can go ahead and add that to your oatmeal blend. You can add that. You can add that to anything. It's creamy, and I only use maybe like because you got good protein in here. Maybe half a teaspoon. That's all you need. You could add that to anything here because it doesn't have a strong taste or anything that's going to, you know, burp back up, which all this is so gentle on the stomach. The cucumber, the sweet potato, it's so gentle on the stomach. I've never seen any reflux, but of course you know your loved one. Okay, so I'm going to get this ready to give him the rest of his feeding. He's watching SpongeBob. We've been doing stuff all day, and he's doing marvelous. Today we have to go in about a week to see the new endocrinologist, and to get his labs drawn again. You know, I'm making notes. Okay, when he's behaving this way, he can't tell me, so I need to know what might be the culprit. Okay, and usually it's nutrition based. Yeah. Another way we have an adrenal insufficiency is a couple days of extra steroids, 3 days. You don't have to double it. Just in between, he gets steroids 3 times a day. So in between those, he's going to get 5 or 10 more. 5 is fine, but even 10 is okay. He's only doing it for 3 days. Not going to worry about the blood pressure. A very temporary rise, no big deal. And that will actually bring up the potassium and magnesium level. We've done that many, many, many times after hospitalization or illness or anything. So, and we haven't had any bad problems. Okay, all right. Well, stay tuned. We're also going to start a sewing channel as soon as I get my sewing part, and it's going to be called Shut Up and Sew.